Good evening. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Alexandra Lewis. Denver police say the man accused of carrying out a string of stabbings on the 16th Street Mall wasn't on their radar, but he spent most of 2023 and 2024 in prison or jail. 24-year-old Elijah Cottle is accused of stabbing 3 people Saturday night, killing one of them. Police arrested him more than 24 hours later after another man was stabbed to death in that same area.
9 News reporter Spencer Soisher joins us with some information on this suspect who was released from prison 2 months ago, Spencer, under a program for inmates with mental illnesses.
Yeah, some interesting answers from the chief today. Not only did they not know where the suspect was between the stabbings on Saturday and Sunday, they also didn't know where he's been since he was released from jail in November. Now the other question, should they have? Standing in the area where 4 people were stabbed this weekend.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to begin by...
Denver Police Chief Ron Thomas said 24-year-old Elijah Cottle was not on the police department's radar.
I mean, certainly has had law enforcement contacts in the metro area, but not someone that has a violent history, not someone that we would have been watchful for, certainly.
Thomas may not have known about Cottle's history of violence.
I went to get back in my vehicle and I heard something behind me.
Cottle pleaded guilty to attacking Corey Ellison in 2021.
And he was running up behind me with a knife out. I managed to spin around. We kind of tussled a little bit. I pulled my belt off because that was really the only weapon I had at the time.
Ellison says he was working maintenance for a property management company in Westminster when Cottle attacked him with a knife.
It was a lock blade kind of knife. It was probably that long. You know, it nicked me on the arm during...
According to court documents obtained by 9 News Investigates, Cottle has been arrested several times since 2019, including for the attack on Ellison. Records show Cottle left the Denver jail 2 months before this weekend's stabbings as part of the Bridges program. It's a state program designed to assist inmates in cases where competency is in question, a collaboration between the criminal justice and mental health system. But the question is how he ended up hurting people this weekend. Does the police department know where he's been since he was released from jail in November?
No, we don't. We've had no contact with him since his release in November.
Colorado lawmakers expanded the Bridges program in 2023. It was a bipartisan measure. It's unclear how much contact the Bridges program had with the suspect after he missed a court appearance in December on a sexual assault charge. And of course, it's also unclear why the Denver Police Department didn't have him on their radar. Live in Denver, Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
It is the calm before the storm, or in this case, extremely cold weather. We're expecting a gradual warm-up over the next few days before Arctic cold, brutally cold temperatures and some snow arrive in Colorado. The chilly conditions are expected to pick up Friday night before a very, very cold weekend. That was a lot of adjectives there, Corey. Do you think we executed?
We've just about tried to describe this in every way possible. It's going to be the coldest air that we've had since last year at this time. It's inevitable at this point. Nothing's going to stop it from coming down, but there are a few just little details to work out, and I'll talk about that in the forecast. Out here in front of the building right now, you see just a little bit of a breeze, but I can tell you that breeze is got a little bit of a bite to it. It is painful to have just a little bit of a wind chill to go with these temperatures right now, 29 degrees right outside the Denver 9 News studios. Here in the satellite and radar picture, a few little showers here in parts of the high country and southern Colorado. Another wave of that is coming in tonight. We'll expect a few light mountain showers tomorrow afternoon as well. And here's your day here in Denver, highlighted by the National Western Stock Show. It's going to be a nice day, still a little chilly, and then the warm-up comes on Wednesday. We'll talk about that polar air coming your way in just a few minutes.
The city of Aurora is proceeding with plans to close down and clear out an apartment complex where a Venezuelan gang has been targeting fellow migrants.
Today, the city and attorney representing the apartment building owners met in court. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch explains how city leaders are trying to hold the building management accountable.
The city of Aurora is preparing for a potentially long legal battle ahead in the case of the Dallas Street apartments.
The police department felt like they really needed to get in control and get a hold of that property because it is being completely unmanaged.
City Attorney Pete Schulte says the city wants to move quickly on closing a property overrun with Venezuelan gang members. But he says holding the building managers accountable is proving to be a challenge.
Jury trials just inherently take longer to get done. And so by asking for a jury trial, which is their right if they pay the jury fee, that is the concern that, again, this is an effort to stall these proceedings.
Last month, an Aurora Division 6 judge agreed with the city's claim that the properties were a criminal nuisance. Schultes says the city hopes to have rolling exits of tenants with a final operating date about a month away.
By the middle of February, that's going to be 2.5 months that there's been notice that this was coming.
Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain
Next question.
says once the building closes, the real work begins.
That is something that we really look at because the displacement of crime is something that we don't want to do. I don't want to play whack-a-mole with TDA gang members and crime and violent activity. I don't want them to go from one location to another.
Chamberlain says no matter how long it takes, he plans to bring accountability for the people living there.
By the closure of this location, these individuals that are just trying to live their life will be able to get away from this element that has controlled this area, that has taken root in this area, again, based upon the mismanagement, based upon the opportunities that they were allowed to do in and around that area.
Though the city hopes to close the building within the next month, court proceedings will continue into March. In Aurora, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
In California, firefighters are in a critical stage of their almost week-long battle against deadly wildfires burning across Los Angeles County. As of tonight, crews are focused on these 3 areas: the Palisades Fire, Eaton Fire, and Hearst Fire. Each has some level of containment, but more problems are in the forecast. The National Weather Service has issued an expanded warning about winds that could gust up to 70 miles per hour, causing some extreme fire behavior.
We hope that it doesn't get to that level, but we are seeing that there could be hurricane level winds. And so it is very concerning at this time.
At last count, about 24 people have died, but California Governor Gavin Newsom warns that number will rise, with dozens still missing. More than 92,000 residents remain under evacuation orders, and some 89,000 are under evacuation warnings. The Eaton and Palisades fire are likely to be the second and fourth most destructive in California history. As of tonight, the total area burned by the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires is about 60 square miles, which is an area larger than Paris. Coloradans know exactly what it's like to live through wildfires, and people in Boulder County specifically are watching very carefully.
9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us now. Rachel, more than 3 years after the Marshall Fire, it's taken some homeowners that long to rebuild.
Yeah, more than 1,000 homes were destroyed when the Marshall Fire swept through, and now new homes in construction fill Superior and Louisville. But what's happening in LA is bringing those memories of the devastation right back.
No, you'll never get over it.
Surviving a wildfire is something you can never really leave in the past.
Yeah.
That's something Boulder County Sheriff Curtis Johnson knows firsthand.
The 30th of December 2021, I'll never forget it.
He was working as the division chief with the sheriff's office that day 3 years ago when the Marshall Fire sparked up.
It was really the speed and ferocity of the fire is what I remember, but I never thought for a moment that my house in Louisville would be in danger. But then I returned to my neighborhood later that night, about 8:30 at night, just because I needed to know where I stood. Did I have a home or not? And it was gone. Everything that I owned had been turned to ash. And the entire neighborhood where I live, all the homes except for one were gone.
Nearly 3 years to the date after the Marshall Fire, wildfires are sweeping through LA. For Johnson, it's hard to take in.
And watching the news, especially late last week in California, and seeing that kind of shell-shocked look on people's faces as they're 1 day out or 2 days out from losing everything, it takes me right back to that moment of trying to comprehend the loss and figure out what's next.
He says the Marshall Fire burned 6,000 acres and more than 1,000 homes.
Everything in this direction, with the exception of Town Hall, was burned. So all of these homes are new.
The fires in California, he says, are far more severe.
It's just hard to watch, and the magnitude in California is just exponentially worse than it was here.
Neighbors in Boulder County have spent years rebuilding. A slow journey back home.
You know, it took us 2 years to build a house, and that felt fairly quick.
Marshall Fire survivors are offering up their knowledge and experience in hopes of helping those in LA through the worst moment of their lives.
You know, they're 1 week into this adventure that is going to take years to recover from. If you can get yourself in the mindset that you really want to recover from this and get back to life, it takes some energy and effort to make that happen. but it can be done.
Sheriff Johnson's advice to anyone going through this tragedy right now is to take care of yourself as best as you can. Get a roof over your head, take care of the basics, and then start looking through that insurance policy because it's going to take a lot of time to rebuild. Rachel Grouse, 9 News.
We know that living through a natural disaster can also affect people's mental health. There are resources available right now for people in California who are displaced from the wildfires. And we spoke with an assistant professor at CU Anschutz who studies PTSD in victims of natural disasters. And he said, can't forget about the impact on the helpers.
First responders, firefighters, police officers, EMTs, they're trained for these high stakes environments. They're trained for these environments where there's mass destruction and trauma. That doesn't mean that they're not so vulnerable to feelings that are distressing. That doesn't mean they're not also vulnerable to anxiety or irritability. And, especially the first responders who are there day in, day out, they're probably not sleeping a whole lot. The first responders who are traveling from out of state, they're definitely away from their support system. And so we want to remain vigilant to their mental health as well.
This weekend, first responders from Colorado started arriving in Southern California. Teams from North Metro, West Metro, Thornton Fire, Greeley Fire. In all, Colorado has sent 9 so-called strike teams to California. And we're working with the Red Cross to raise donations for survivors of the LA fires. You can help by scanning the QR code on that screen or texting CA Wildfires to 90999. That will direct your donation to wildfire relief in California.